Thanks for staying with us on TVWest. You're watching News Radar. I'm Victoria Ogudende. Here's what on the radar this hour. INEC says over 1.9 million voters' cards have been collected for Saturday's Osun election, representing 81.5% of registered voters as sensitive materials arrive at the CBN in Osogbo for distribution. Ondo Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa signs a new electricity law establishing a regulatory commission, market operators, and protection of power infrastructure to attract private investments. And on the foreign scene, record rain pound eastern Japan, flooding roads and homes near Tokyo, leaving one dead and tens of thousands without power. And in sports, South Africa beats Nigeria 2-1 in Casablanca, ending the Super Falcons World Cup hope in a playoff defeat that marks their lowest WAFCON finish. We'll bring you the details of this story and more shortly. Now the news in full. The Independent National Electoral Commission says more than 1.9 million permanent voter cards have been collected for this Saturday's Osun governorship election. The figure stands at 1,906,390. That represents 81.50% of the 2,339,233 registered voters in the state. INEC's Information and Voter Education Committee Chairman Mohammed Haruno announces the update on Friday. It says 432,843 uncollected cards, or 18.50%, have been deposited with the Central Bank of Nigeria. Some voters whose cards were damaged, defaced, or lost applied for replacement. A total of 6,101 received printed downloadable copies. The Commission has published a polling unit by polling unit breakdown of the collected cards on its website. INEC reassures all stakeholders of its readiness to conduct a free, fair, and transparent election. Meanwhile, sensitive materials for Saturday's Osun State governorship election have arrived at the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in Osogbo ahead of their distribution to the various local government areas. The Osun State government has dragged the Inspector General of Police and the State Commissioner of Police before the High Court. It seeks an order compelling them to investigate Senator Francis Fadansi over alleged inciting remarks ahead of Saturday's governorship election. Attorney General Oluwole Jimmy Bada files the suit in Osogbo on August 12. The case follows a viral video in which the senator is alleged to have called on APC members to kill Accord Party supporters and their families. The government wants the police to obtain and forensically examine and complete unedited video. It also seeks a full probe into the circumstances of its creation and circulation. The state says the remark, if verified, pose a serious threat to public safety and the peaceful conduct of the election. The Nigerian Police Force says it has recovered 34 illegal firearms ahead of Saturday's Osun State governorship election. Force Public Relations Officer Aniete Iniedu makes the disclosure at a town hall meeting in Osogbo on Thursday. He says investigations into the sources of the weapons are ongoing. Those found responsible will be prosecuted. Iniedu stresses that no firearms or weapons will be allowed at polling units. Even the 4 policemen assigned to each unit will not carry arms. Secret police officers and other security agents will be presented to profile voters and monitor activities. Apart from the 15,000 policemen already deployed, police helicopters and drone units have arrived in the state for aerial surveillance before, during, and after the election.
As part of the force's comprehensive election security strategy, the deployment of Commissioner of Police CP Samuel Erale Etaifo as CP Elections Osun State remains a key component of the operational framework designed to coordinate election security across Osun State. CP Samuel Erale Etaifo will work in close collaboration with other sister security agencies and relevant stakeholders to safeguard voters, election officials, electoral assets, and other critical materials before, during, and after the election. The Nigerian Police Force hereby reiterates that all personnel deployed for election duties are expected to maintain the highest standards of discipline, professionalism, and neutrality in strict compliance with the law, including
Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has announced Lawal Dora as his running mate for the 2027 presidential election. Makinde is the presidential candidate of the Allied People's Movement. He unveils Dora on Thursday at the party's national convention in Bauchi. The governor says Dora was deliberately chosen to help address the country's security challenges. Makinde adds that he is prepared to lift millions of Nigerians out of poverty. Dora served as Director General of the Department of State Services between 2015 and 2018. He recently resigned from the African Democratic Congress and joined the Allied People's Movement. Ondo State Governor Lucky Haidatiwa signed the Ondo State Electric Power Sector Amendment Law 2026. The legislation established a stronger deal and regulatory framework for electricity generation, transmission, and the distribution in the state. It creates the State Electricity Regulatory Commission to oversee tariffs, licenses, investments, mini-grids, and renewable energy. The law also provides for a state independent system operator and a state market operator to support a competitive electricity market. Key provisions include compulsory metering, protection of community and privately funded power infrastructure, and penalties for sabotage of electricity facilities. An equipment standards and competence certification agency is also established to regulate electrical equipment and professionals. The government says the new framework is designed to attract private investment and expand access to reliable electricity. The Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill has extended the deadline for the submission of memoranda and position papers. The new deadline is Friday, August 21 at 5 p.m. Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, who chairs the group, announces the extension. It says the extra time will allow stakeholders to prepare thorough and well-considered contributions. Legal practitioners, civil society organizations, security professionals, state governments, academics, and members of the public are encouraged to submit their views. All submission must be made exclusively through the official National Policing Bill portal. The working group says the proposed law aims to create a more effective, accountable, and professional policing system for Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu assures Nigeria that the nation's refinery will bounce back. He makes the pledge while receiving the leadership of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers at the presidential villa. Tinubu says the government is restructuring the economics of the refineries so they become profitable and deliver real value. He also laments that the benefits of compressed natural gas are mostly going into the pockets of truck owners instead of reaching ordinary commuters. NUPENG President Salimon Oladiti appeals to the president to stop the casualization of workers in the oil industry, particularly in the upstream sector. He says efforts to end the practice with oil companies have yielded little success so far. Oladiti also asked the government to revive the Nigerian pipelines and storage company depots across the country. You are watching News Radar on TV West. We'll take a short break now and return with more news. Stay with us.
You are watching the test transmission of TV West. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our social media handle at TVWestNG across all social networks. Thanks for staying with us.
TV West, reporting the West, inspiring progress.
Welcome back to News Radar on TV West. Now to the rest of the news. In health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo confirmed a new Ebola death in a province that had not previously recorded cases. The victim is a motorcycle taxi driver who traveled from Alt-Hule, where the outbreak is already active, to Baz-Hule. He dies in the provincial capital Buta after developing hemorrhagic symptoms. Test confirms Ebola after his death. Jean-Jacques Muyemba of the National Institute for Biomedical Research says the man visited several health facilities before he died. Fellow drivers later tried to retrieve his body. Authorities fear multiple people may have been exposed. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus warns that at its current pace, the outbreak could surpass the 2014 to 2016 West Africa epidemic, the deadliest on record.
It's already the second biggest Ebola epidemic on record, and it's moving faster than any previous Ebola outbreak. At its current pace, it's on track to eclipse the West African Ebola outbreak of 2014 to 2016. Officially, 4,449 confirmed cases have been reported, with 2,061 deaths across 5 provinces and 53 health zones. The outbreak had a big head start, it's still way ahead of us, and we're playing catch-up. About 90% of all cases and 80% of deaths are in the province of Ituri, with sustained transmission in the towns of Bunya, Moapara, Nizi, and Lita. Most concerningly, we see a high proportion of deaths in communities instead of treatment units outside of known contact lists. That tells us there are chains of transmission we don't know about, and until we know about and break every chain of transmission, we will not stop the outbreak. Most transmission happens when people have late-stage disease and are not in treatment, or when their body is handled after they have died.
Researchers in Australia have discovered a new way to help prevent malaria. The approach primes the immune system so that subsequent mosquito bites act as natural boosters against the disease. Scientists at the Walter and Eliza Hall Institute of Medical Research developed a strategy that pairs mosquito-delivered malaria parasites with investigational anti-malaria compounds. The compounds trap the parasites at the later liver stage, just before they enter the bloodstream. This triggers a strong and lasting immune response. In tests, the method protects mice from malaria for up to 2 years. Researchers say the findings open a door to a vaccinate and boost naturally approach in malaria endemic areas. A long-lasting injectable based on the compound is now in preclinical development. And on the foreign scene, record-breaking heavy rain pounds eastern Japan on Thursday, flooding roads and homes near Tokyo. The downpour paralyzes traffic and cuts power to tens of thousands of homes. At least one person is found dead. The Japan Meteorological Agency issues its highest warning for heavy rain in 14 municipalities in Chiba Prefecture. Officials warn of flood and landslides. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency confirms 1 death in Ichikawa City. 2 people trapped in a flooded car are rescued in nearby Kashiwa. Footage shows pedestrians wading through knee-deep water outside Ichikawa train station. Several trains are suspended. Nearly 220,000 residents are advised to move to safer ground. Power outages affect about 68,000 homes, according to TEPCO Power Grid. The heavy rain follows a tropical storm that battered northeastern Japan a day earlier. A forest fire forced the evacuation of about 1,800 residents in western Germany Eifel region. The blaze, followed by shifting winds, creeps within 400 meters of the village of Gay on Friday morning. The area lies about 45 kilometers southwest of Cologne and close to the Belgian border. Officials declare a mass damage situation on Thursday evening. Evacuations begin around 4 a.m. local time. Residents are told to take only essential items such as documents and medicine. They are also advised to wear masks because of poor air quality. An emergency shelter is set up at nearby school. Authorities say roughly 25 hectares of forest are currently burning. Nigel Farage has regained his seat in the British Parliament. The Reform UK leader wins a special election in Clacton on Thursday, taking 63% of the vote. He defeats a field of French candidates. Comic Count being faced finishes second with about 27%. Mainstream parties boycott the contest, describing it as a farce. Farage quits the seat in July amid an investigation into an undeclared £5 billion gift from an overseas crypto billionaire. He denies any wrongdoing and stands again to demonstrate voter support. Hours after the results, the Parliamentary Standards Watchdog resumed its investigation. Mali's President Assimi Goïta has pardoned a Frenchman who was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Yann Vezilia was convicted in June for alleged involvement in a plot to destabilize the country. Malian authorities accused him of acting on behalf of French intelligence services. France previously said Vezilia was carrying out a security cooperation mission and denied the accusations. A government statement say the pardon does not question the facts established by the conviction. It requires Vezilia to leave Mali immediately. The decision comes amid strained relations between France and its former colonies in Sahel. In entertainment, Dirty December Fest returns to Lagos from 18th to 30th December. In sports, Nigeria's Super Falcons suffer a 2-1 defeat to South Africa in Casablanca. The result ends their hope of reaching the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup through the remaining CAF playoff route. South Africa take the lead in the 56th minute through Thembi Gatlana. Captain referee Jane adds a second goal in the 77th minute. Nigeria pull one back late from the penalty spot through Christy Uchebe but cannot find an equalizer. The match was a high-stakes playoff between the two quarter-final losers at the Women's African Cup of Nations. The defeat marks the first time South Africa have beaten Nigeria in a World Cup qualifier or playoff. It also confirms Nigeria's lowest finish at a WAFCON tournament. Arsenal have held talks with Galatasaray about the availability of Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen. The discussion takes place during separate conversations involving possible deaths for Gabriel Martinelli and Eitan Nwaneri to move to the Turkish club. It remains unclear which side first raised the idea of an Osimhen transfer or whether a concrete offer will follow. Arsenal have shown long-standing interest in the forward. Meanwhile, Galatasaray turned down a €130 million offer from Saudi club Al Hilal for the striker. In another development, Tottenham Hotspur registered formal interest in Liverpool forward Cody Gakpo. And that's News Radar for this hour. I'm Victoria Ogudende. Thank you for watching.